Oh, hey, Paul. Hey, Paul.
Paul!
I wonder if Paul, did you work tonight? Paul may be drunk. That's why I'm gauging this now. No. Okay. No, you didn't. So no, you didn't work. But are you drunk?
It's going to be followed up with a maybe.
Yeah, might be, maybe. It might be just a dead yes. Or it's Sober Friday for Paul.
Welcome to episode 95, where we discuss whether or not Paul Metal is drunk.
Yeah, the state of Paul Metal's liver. This episode. It's okay, Paul. I know.
State of the liver dress.
Yeah. It's okay, Paul. I know how to. I've read a few books on how to help your liver. I mean, if you're okay with bloodletting and leeches, I know how to solve all your problems.
Okay, so apparently we're also going to be discussing medieval medicine tonight.
It's the best way of doing things. Listen, they knew how to do medicine. They wear cool masks and they just put leeches on people.
Uh-huh.
Why? What did I do? You didn't do anything wrong, Paul. Don't worry.
You're fine, Paul.
My liver is good. It's been a good liver.
His humors are in harmony or something.
Yeah.
That's like how they would say it, I guess. I don't know.
Is it Mercury's in centigrade or something? All right, it's 9:30. We should probably kick this off.
Let's do it.
And take a sip of this. Holy crap, it's a pear. Today is September 7th, 2018. This is episode 95 of Maelstrom Radio.
Maelstrom Radio. With your hosts, Flatus and Shinder.
And welcome everybody to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Flatus. With me, this host is the brains of the operation. It's Dylan Thorne. Hi Dylan, how are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm good. I have whiskey and G Fuel and seltzer water. Many things and many drinks.
I have pumpkin ale.
It's already that time.
It is that time. Yeah, I saw a meme the other day that was like, girl sees a leaf on the ground, all of a sudden runs to the nearest coffee shop for pumpkin, like spiced pumpkin coffee.
I mean, when the live letter was going on. Shin and I were shit talking everything that they were posting. So when we saw Yoshida in the sweater and Ugg boots, instantly 4.4 Prelude and Pumpkin Spice hit our feeds.
Nice Prelude to Pumpkin Spice. That's brilliant.
So Shin's not here. He's out vacationing with his family, mom, I believe. Mom's visiting him. He's been it's been nonstop snaps of beers and food and scenery all week from him to me. It's bums me out because I can't have any of that stuff. Also, I think he slightly does it on purpose because he knows I can't. Anytime he goes on vacation, it's just nonstop like pictures of foods. Although, the churro from I want to say Korea, was it better? It was better than your boyfriend churro. It was a cream filled churro. It was like more than 13 inches long. Still the best photo I've ever seen because it had cream dripping off the tip of it. I'm like, why is this a thing?
It brings the term food porn to a whole new level.
Mm-hmm. I learned a lot of things about Shin that year. So let's get into our show because I know a lot of people think we're talking about cheating, and I don't know. Some people are like, "What are they going to talk about?" We'll get there.
Oh yes, we're going to talk all about cheating. Naughty, dirty cheating.
Yeah. Hope I was. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the news. God. Anyway, let's get into the news. There's new optional items available on the market board. You can go get a red horse looking thing. It's a horse with a dress on its butt, and you go get it. It's like $26. Or you can get a kata, like it's called the Lotus kata. You can get a kata. If you want emotes. But there's also a big sale going on, so just buy the stuff for cheap and then wait till the next sale and buy the stuff for cheap. So that's usually my pro tip for this. Safe in chat. Why is the current topic hot cheating action? You know why. Companion
Stay
app,
tuned to find out.
Yeah. The companion app premium service is now available. Your boy is testing it out, seeing if there is anything worth paying $5 a month for on it. So far, the answer is no. For the service itself, if they told me I could pay $5 for 140 extra saddlebag storage and an extra retainer, that's a great deal. Because that's the best part of the deal. So. I mean, I also can organize my inventory with premium, which is a very, I guess, nifty thing. If I really wanted to go through my inventory on my phone, like sitting in bed, I could actually like OCD my inventory. And if I could do it better on my phone.
How much does this cost for premium?
$5
a month.
A month. It's not a flat fee. A month.
And you call that a good deal?
It's the extra. You double your Chocobo saddlebag storage, and you get an extra retainer. That's where I think the deal comes in. Now the question is, what else are they going to be adding to the premium service as it goes forward? Because right now they're like, there's a phone emote coming in 4.4, and I wonder if they're going to start adding like, oh, thanks for joining premium. Also, here's this phone emote, and also here's this thing because you're also paying for this extra service. So we want to try to make this extra service, wanted by people, so we'll start throwing shit at people to make sure they get it. So
I swear, if down the line there are people running around in game with a selfie stick, it's just all over at that point.
Real quick, I can clear this up right now. You get the ability to pay for an extra retainer. No, that is false. You actually get an extra retainer. I'm not paying for an extra one. You actually just get an extra one. They gave me an extra one. I'm not paying, like I have a 6th retainer now, and I'm not paying anything other than the phone companion app. So there you go. Just letting you know, like the translation was wrong. You actually get a bonus retainer. So no, it's not that you were misinformed, Safe. It really was just a bad translation. That's all it was. The initial translation was bad. Sure. Maybe they are bad at clarifying their own shit. But that's not the first time they've done that. They also said the same thing about that new content never seen before in an MMO, and it's like, no, that was a bad translation. Stop. You know what? Maybe whoever is translating this needs to not translate it. I take that back, Reddit. Please continue to translate these things, because that's the only way we can watch live letters and know what the fuck's going on. Feast season 9 is ending soon. They keep hyping up the seasons. I'm trying to get people to do PvP with me, but everyone says it's shit. So I don't know. I can't find anybody to PvP with me. Maybe because the queues are still shit. Like 30-minute queues are not great. I don't know what they can do to hype PvP. Like when Garo was around, that hyped PvP and like queues were going fast. I'll fucking PvP with you, and you Garbo? What you Garbo? Who is you Garbo? I'm not Garbo. I'll humble people, sir. By the way, increases to the Jumbo Cactbot prizes are happening in 4.4 as soon as the patch drops. So if you win Jumbo Cactbot, or if you have your tickets already, do not click on the 15th. Don't go the date it draws. Wait, they actually say on the site, wait until the 18th and then go pick up your MGP prizes so you get the increase. So play Cactbot during that week and wait until after the patch to go collect, and you'll get the increase onto the Jumbo Cactbot prizes. So I'm hoping it's a nice little boost all across the board. I wonder what the Jumbo I wonder what they're gonna up the Jumbo Cactbot prize amount to. I hope it's like 2 million. But the question is, what are they going to start adding that people could spend MGP on? That's going to be expensive again. Probably another mount? No.
Yeah, another mount, or I don't know, maybe some outfits, hopefully, that you don't have to buy off the Mog Station.
That'd be nice. Hairstyles would be nice. Some new hairstyles. Paul Metal rip. I think my Twitch is broken. Oh well. Just Paul Metal. Here's another tip. Use a different browser, and you should be fine. If Twitch is broken on one, just try another one. And with that, the 4.4 trailer is now live. If you've not gone and watched it, it's a well done trailer. It got to give them credit. They put a nice trailer together. It is very much a looming that carrot of doom and gloom up ahead. We see some fantastic things in there, like the authored and Alamigo coming and joining the other nations, which we expected. There's also some quotes in there that I find interesting, like, calamity is looming, the collapse of all light. So there are some interesting audio tidbits in there. Some people are thinking that some of them were pulled from the quotes from the Warriors of Darkness. Maybe it'd be interesting. Like the theory crafting is going right out the window with this. Everybody's freaking out. I know some people are talking about the leaks that have happened. We won't discuss that here. They are way too close and way too spoiler heavy for us to discuss on this show. I wouldn't do that to our audience or anybody watching. Privately, sure, I'll talk about it all day, but not live on the show. But just tweet us at your theories of what's going to happen in 4.4 going on. Do you think we'll have a calamity? Do you think it'll be all? Because I just personally, on my end, if we end up going through a it's gonna be a calamity, and then all of a sudden a Scion pops a safety bubble around it until the next expansion that something pops out of it, and like we cook up another primal or whatever the hell it is. I'd be bummed out. Tired of losing Scions to make easy bake ovens for bosses to fight in the expansion.
No, I mean, it would be interesting to see if they're legit about a calamity, what they would do with it. The only problem with like mentioning and dropping the word calamity is the last time that we had one, the game got entirely remade. And I highly doubt that that's going to happen. Now, could they change the direction of the game? That would be pretty cool. That would be exciting.
They absolutely could change the direction of the game. And I know a lot of people fear the word calamity, like, oh, the last time they did this, you know, everything ended and they shut down the servers and redid everything. Calamity doesn't also necessarily mean that they'll end everything. It's just a calamity, or the starting of a calamity could mean a lot of different things. It could give saying that, hey, listen, like, not everything in our story is, you know, we're always constantly winning. We should be able to lose from time to time. It's a good way to have a story plot go. I know a lot of people are pointing out at WoW's Cataclysm expansion. It's Cataclysm, but I call it Cataclysm. But and all, as a player of that game, that there were good and bad things to that expansion. The bad wasn't the story or how it handled world destruction, but it brought a lot of new interesting features and things to the old world. So it'd be an interesting way to progress the older zones. And I know a lot of people on Balmung may hate me for saying this, but a lot of other servers aren't using those zones to their full capacity. They're just sitting there empty, so revitalizing them in some sort of way isn't a bad thing. This game doesn't have anything that offers some sort of cross-realm service, so those zones feel dead. I know, because I'm trying to level mining and there's nobody there. And like, you see a couple new Leaf people and you're just like running around, there's like 6 people. And you're like, well, Ul'dah is right there. You think you see a bunch of people, but there's nobody there. It's all empty.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to see players screaming about a calamity, talk mega servers, and then you're gonna hear a bunch of players on Balmung freaking out.
Mega servers. They're not there yet. They're not at mega servers yet. I would hope not. Fucking. I mean, I know a lot of people are worried about like that, the whole cross server, the bleeding of realms together, but Blizzard handles it in such a way that honestly, like, the PvP, the RP servers aren't affected by it at all. So you wouldn't really have to worry. It's primarily for leveling. Like, if a zone is dead, they start to cross realm people into the zone, so it doesn't feel dead. That's all it does. And it makes grouping easier, like, especially if you're low level and you want to do a fate, there's people there for the fate to do. So you're
talking about Guild Wars.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. With that being said, speaking of, like, before we hop in another, so tonight's topic is cheating on your MMO. Dylan and I, although I have been playing, I still play Final Fantasy 14 because I still run the FC and everything like that. But Dylan has been playing Battle for Azeroth. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
All right.
And, I still log into Final Fantasy.
Yeah, see, and I still log into Final Fantasy. I also, in my spare free time, like maybe an hour a night, I go do some WoW stuff, just because at this point, me and WoW have that relationship where it's like, just when I'm free, I got a little time, throw some shit on my orc. But it's never been that same way in the past. I've cheated on WoW plenty of times, and I've cheated on Final Fantasy, I think, in Legion for a little bit. So we're here to ask why people would cheat on your MMO. So I think the very first question we're gonna get it right out the way is, why cheat? Why do it? What's the point? If you're someone like myself or Dylan who've been playing MMOs for quite a long time, things start to get stale.
Little bit.
And for me personally, it's nice to get away and go and see what another developer is and team do with an MMO, to see, like, man, that'd be really cool if Yoshi and the team could do this. For example, I'll pick on Battle for Azeroth just because I've been playing that lately. The one thing that they've increased since Legion, and they've done a lot now, especially in Battle for Azeroth, is increasing the want and need and the interesting aspects of world design, and making the world a living, breathing place, and making you want to explore that world by adding like little secret areas. And they offer goodies and toys and like and collectibles and gear pieces and weapons and secret little like hard, rare bosses and stuff like that. And I love that. I love that thing. It makes the world feel like, I could go here and do this thing. There's like this secret little cave, and there's this like right now there's this whole like cross the entire world thing where you can get a demon goat pet. And someone had to figure out, I'm in the Warcraft Secrets Discord, and they just started discovering that there's like 13 pebbles, not like and they're tiny little pebbles that you have to click on in the game, and some of them are out in the fatigued areas of the ocean, and where you'll die. If I know that's a weird thing if you've never played WoW before, but there are places in WoW where you can't go. You start to like lose health pretty quickly. And they even hid pebbles out there, so you have to like haul ass and like get underwater and then click the pebble and then die. You can port back to where you need to go, and you have to click them in a specific order. And it's this whole like, how would you even figure this out if you didn't like work with other people and figure it out? Just like with certain world bosses, like they've already said there's plenty of secrets that nobody's figured out yet. Like there's probably a world boss that no one's figured out how to summon yet, because that's what they want to do. They want to figure that stuff out. I like Final Fantasy's starting to do some of this stuff now with for example, Ixion was a good point. Like you could get the dust, and the only way to do that to fight him was to throw the anti-static dust on him so you can fight him. And same for the Fox Lady Fate. So those are two interesting fates. I'd like to see more of that, and I'd like to see more world building and different things. So Shin and I have talked about this on the show, but Shin often says like, well, what's the point? I'm like, because it makes the world a livable, interesting place and people want to go explore it. If there's nothing to explore, what's the point of having all the stuff and open land? And like, I don't find my need or want to go into the world and do stuff. I know RP people, you may tell me different, and I'm not trying to disparage RP when I say this, but it's outside the RP thing, the PvE aspect of it. Like I like solving puzzles and I like doing that stuff. And there's a large community that wants that mystery. And MMOs, a lot of other MMOs do that, and they do that really well. Even Guild Wars 2 does that.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of the thing as far as you're asking, why, quote unquote, cheat on your MMO. And one of the things that I know I've talked about before with other friends is it used to be, or at least it used to feel like to me, Flata said, I've been playing MMOs for quite a while. And it used to be you had an MMO. And because they were all subscription based, you kind of had this one, you were committed to it. Everything that you kind of did as far as gaming wise online was in connection with that MMO. You didn't necessarily play that one and then kind of check out this one and so on and so forth. But, with a lot more free to play ones, you're able to do that. Like I still have Guild Wars 2 installed on my system. If I wanted to, I could go pop in there and check it out and kind of hang out and do whatever. And as that's kind of happened, at least, from my perspective, as people are able to kind of hop into various MMOs at will, it seems to me that all of them have kind of evolved to have like one thing that they're stronger at versus others. For me, Final Fantasy 14 by far, at least from, what I've seen in other MMOs, has the most tools available for role players. You have a good amount of character customization. You have a lot of different outfits. You can mix and match pieces. You can dye them. So on and so forth. And plus, also personal housing where you can decorate in the interior of that and you can really customize it. In other games, such as, World of Warcraft, you can't do any of that. And like I was joking, your character customization comes down to a couple of little toggles on your individual character, but mostly your character customization is which race do you want to be?
You're right. Essentially, it is that. Do you want to be the? Although my orc's got fixed his sciatica, that's great. He stands up straight now.
Got a little bit of chiropractic.
Yeah, it's great. I was like, for years my back. No, but you're absolutely right. Like the customization of WoW has never really been changed or worked on. It would be interesting for an expansion for them to work on some of that other stuff, like the customization options. WoW does have a lot of gear sets and transmogging, which is their glamour. It's all based on items that were used as gear sets, like you use it for normal, like like a gear set from an old raid or stuff like that. It's not necessarily like Final Fantasy, where Final Fantasy actually puts in like, this is specifically for glamour. It's a level 1 item. It's specifically just to transmog, or not transmog, but to glamour onto your item sets and do that. That's something that Final Fantasy does really well. In specific terms of why cheat, I think it's, for me, like I said, for me, it's to see what other companies are doing, and are they doing anything better? Like the biggest questions always go in: are they doing anything better? Are they doing anything different? And if they're doing something different, what are they doing? How are they doing it, and how are they doing it well? And that is always what I go in, because if I go in, if it's still like collect, if I'm in the level 1 area and my first quest is go kill a bear, and I've said this on the show before, and I have to go kill a bear and collect its anus, and they give me a melon baller, and I'm out there plopping out bear anuses, then it's not, they didn't do a good job, because they're not doing anything innovative. They're just saying go kill bears, and that's not good game design to me. That's not good MMO design. You're still going back to the drawing board and not redoing anything. You're just creating lazy quests, not making the intro interesting. So.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with you on that. As far as like, the one game that I've been playing lately, World of Warcraft. As far as quest design, I can't say there's anything too terribly, groundbreaking there. As far as one of the things that I particularly enjoy is the bombing quests, which I don't think we have anything like that in Final Fantasy, and it would be awesome if we did, especially if we could repeat it. But as far as why I'm kind of cheating on Final Fantasy 14 with WoW right now is it's the dungeons, it's the PvP, or not the PvP, the PvE stuff. And while Final Fantasy has like kind of some interesting dungeons, the replayability isn't there, at least in my opinion. Whereas in WoW, you could do regular, then you can do heroic, then you can do mythic, and then you can do mythic plus. And even with the mythic plus, it gets harder. And you just don't have that in Final Fantasy. And even the way that they use mechanics is a little bit more interesting. And it kind of is more with my pace as far as PvE wise, because, way back when I started with WoW. So I'm familiar with that. So whereas, like, I definitely like Final Fantasy 14 more for roleplay. If for a really good PvE experience right now, I kind of have to say, WoW wins that one.
Damn. And also,
shots fired.
I want to point out, I do want to say that I don't think Dylan or I are just trying to say that WoW is a better game. That's not what we're trying to say here today. We're just trying to discuss, like, there are plenty of people right now that feel the game is stale, and they are going out. You've seen a lot of your favorite streamers go out and play World of Warcraft, or they may be trying out a new MMO that may be coming out there, so they're testing out the alpha or the beta. Now, regardless if they're getting paid, like if a big time streamer is getting paid to do that, that's neither here nor there. It does happen. And then you have to come to the question: is it really cheating? Like, do you feel like, are we really cheating on Final Fantasy? I don't. Like, I can quit WoW at any point in time. I've done that before. Like, I'll start at the beginning of an expansion. I feel like I got what I wanted out of the story. I'll stop my sub, and then closer to the end of the expansion, I may renew it. and just try to catch up, because usually they put in pretty good catch up mechanics, so I can catch up fairly quickly. So I don't know if it's really cheating, as more as like I like to dive back into other games and see what they've added and see what's kind of new. Like I think a few months ago I dove right back into Rift for a little bit on the DL.
Oh yeah, no, I've played Rift.
Ah, man, I love that game. Was so interesting because you could like mix different like trees and stuff like that. You could I was a boss tank. I was so good. And
yeah, the way that you did character talents, and that was really interesting. But also, I think they were one of the first that did like the world quest or the fates. They did fates before Guild Wars 2 did fates.
They did, but they were not the first. Actually, the very first to do fates was Warhammer Age of Reckoning, and they were
Yep.
And they did they weren't called fates, they were called I want to say area events, but that might not be right either. They did it to me so far, like, and even against Guild Wars 2, like the best game that has done it right has been Warhammer. No one's has not reached Warhammer's level of getting it right.
And I remember, because they had objectives, like you complete one objective and then the next phase would kind of like, it would go on to that. So it wasn't just, okay, everybody shows up and we kill 20 creatures and hey, we get a reward.
Yeah, it wasn't that at all. You could actually fail the objective, and the other, like, whatever it was going on, the event would push back the other way, and you could still do the event because it would change how the objective would work. Like, I remember the first thing I rolled was an orc. And because it's Warhammer, I'm going to be an orc first right out the gate. And I remember playing through the intro area, and like one of the cool things that they had, besides the like just something that like one of the first things I got was a trophy. You could hang trophies off your body. Like, so I had like a guy's skull hanging off my belt, and it offered like extra bonuses. But when I went to go do this, that's just something fun. I like that idea. So I went to go do this public event. Was that you had to get this giant shit-faced, like you were outside of a dwarf fortress, and you had to get this giant drunk so you could have him break down the wall and carry a bomb. Like, you could make the suggestion for him to carry the bomb. So we're just constantly feeding him beer while the dwarves are trying to stop you. And if you failed it, he would get pissed and start fighting everybody, and because he wasn't drunk. And so if you failed, it turned in the dwarves' favor, and it was harder. If you got enough people out there feeding him beer, he got shit-faced, carried this big-ass bomb towards the dwarf's gate, blew himself up, and the dwarves came out to fight you. So it ended up going different ways, but you could get really, if you stuck with it long enough, you got really good gear. It was cool from a story aspect because you got to see like this little cutscene out in the open, and it felt like a war. Like this war was going on between the different factions. But it was done super well. Like if they could do fates like that, it'd be great. But
yeah, well, and that's kind of one thing that I kind of been telling some of my friends is that to a certain extent, it's not cheating. It's okay because I kind of look at it. It's okay to go to different games for different things. I know a lot of people who play BDO, Black Desert Online, and from what I'm told, it is extremely PvP heavy. I am not a PvPer. I will never be a PvPer, and it's just not going to be my kind of thing. But, from what I've been told, as far as PvP, it is pretty much the best thing out there right now. And that's why some people are really into it. And I could see definitely, some people, they'll play Final Fantasy for one thing, or they'll play, World of Warcraft for one thing, or ESO, or what have you. And then if they really want to get a good PvP experience, then they go, they play BDO for a little while. The only problem is that as we kind of go in that direction, and that kind of feels like the way that online gaming is going, that you kind of go to one game or the other for this, that, or the other, is that as players, and especially if you look at, different community forums and whatnot, or listen to various podcasts, we're still expecting and still even demanding that one of these games, especially if you are, a sub game, you should give us more. You shouldn't just be kind of a one-trick pony. And that's kind of where it does kind of become more difficult, and where you do kind of feel like you're cheating, because if you're not playing the game, you're still playing a sub, but you're not really, are you getting your quote unquote money's worth? Or are you just kind of paying some money to hold your spot open?
I will always be the first person to admit this, because I'm guilty as charged with throwing my money into an open pit when it came to Blizzard. I want to say it was near the end of Wrath, where I was just like checked out for a year, but I continued paying my sub. I didn't do shit in that game, but I still paid my sub, and I was like, I know it didn't matter what was going on in my life. I was like, I still got my sub. I could log in. I think I logged in like for like an hour, if I did, maybe a week. But I was still just like chucking money into a hole. It's like, there's $15. I was like, if I did the math, I would hate myself and how much money I could have saved. But it was the nature of like, well, if I quit, then if I cancel my sub, it's not going to be good. So. I mean, listen, there's other MMOs out there. A lot of them are free to play. Like, a lot of them. Like, Rift is free to play. Guild Wars 2 is buy to play. Black Desert is buy to play.
One that I've played was Secret World Legends.
Yeah.
The graphics are horrific. I'm not going to pull any punches there. The graphics are really bad. But the quest and story design, there's no game out there that does it better right now. They have some of the best quests.
Can I ask you a question? How cool was it that you could pull up like Google on your phone and like try to like solve the mysteries and stuff like that? I love that part of
the fact that they integrated that, and they integrated even Wikipedia and history and some of the investigation missions that you did. Like, if you want like a really good puzzle quest experience, you can download Secret World Legends for free. You can play it for free. And these are not like, they're not easy. There's like some of them where you have to know certain lines from a Shakespearean play, and then in the next step you have to know certain quotes by Einstein, and then you have to figure out a way to put all that together, and then you need to know also Latin to figure something out. All to unlock one freaking door. But it's so fun the way that they put it together. That said, I could not get over the graphics.
It's pretty bad. I mean, given like the time, like given how that game, it hasn't aged well. It just hasn't aged, and it's not that old. It's not surprising. It's really not that old of a game, but it has not aged well.
Yeah. But imagine if they took some of those quests and the way that they did them and they put them in Final Fantasy 14.
Oh my god, I would love that. I would love like an investigation quest. Like, if they actually like, I'm not saying make Hildebrand serious, but like those quests that say, hey, listen, there's not going to be any clues on this quest or markers on the map. Like, if they did more of that for like the main storyline quest, that'd be dope. I would love that. Like, I love those quests where it's like, what was it, Little Ladies Day? Maybe it's not Little Ladies. Maybe it is Little, where they had the like, all they gave you was like this colorful drawing, and you had to kind of figure out the area to go to. And I was like, I want more of this in the normal game. Why can't we get more of this in the normal game? Because it's great. I'm like sitting there trying to figure. I'm like, all right, I know that I've seen, like, I'm like visualizing, like, I was here once. I was here once mentally. I'm like, long time ago in my early days when I was a hero before I was a lizard boy, but now I'm a hero again. So they've done it. Like, Final Fantasy's done that. They just need to do more of it. Like, and just throw it into the main story game. Like, it doesn't always have to be like, go here, talk to A, get story. Like, go here, solve a mystery, then get story.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
You've played Rift, right?
Yes, I have.
All right. So one of my favorite things about Rift was that it had these world puzzles that you can go solve, and they offered loot. Like, the loot was random. It was like you had to solve the puzzle, you'd get loot, and it was completely random. I remember the very first one. Shin and I talked about this. Shin back. I'm pretty sure. I think Shin has said it, that he was the background guy on with the most popular Rift podcast. He was the guy like doing all the background like website stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and oddly enough, Shin and I'm pretty sure maybe have crossed paths at some point. We never knew each other at that point, but him and I discussed like the in-world puzzles and the jumping puzzles and stuff that Rift had. And I remember solving one puzzle that was out in the, you had to go to the middle of the lake, swim directly to the bottom, you're running out of breath, and then solve this like puzzle, which was fairly easy. It was like one of the beginning area puzzles, but I ended up getting it. The loot that came out ended up being like an epic piece of loot, and it shouted across the whole server my name, the loot I got, and and they're like, who's like the first person to solve this puzzle was blah. And I was like, I felt like the coolest fucking person. I was like, it's the nerdiest thing ever. I felt like the coolest fucking person for 10 minutes. I was like, that's me. And then I went into town and they're like, it's the guy. People were like,
the flattest.
it's the guy. I was like, where was the puzzle? I'm like, it's in the middle of the lake, and people are out fucking rushing to this lake to go solve this puzzle, and they're not getting as good as good as gear as me. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, it's epic, and I'm only level 10. I'm like, poof. I'm like,
Nice. And the thing is and that's kind of where based off of these experiences, I would almost actually even encourage people to try out other games. As much crap as I know that we all kind of give Yoshi P for talking about, like, hey, if you're bored, just go play other games. Having kind of done that, it definitely has given me a certain perspective in the fact that, and this is maybe where it would backfire on Yoshi P, and the fact that, okay, yeah, we should go play other games. We should go see what is out there. And then we can come back and actually, in a more educated fashion, say, yeah, I've gone and I played these other games. I want this. Why can't you guys do this?
that's always a great question. Because we know Yoshi P plays other games. Like, he's admitted it. He's said, I play World of Warcraft. I play other MMOs. It is very much a interesting, because I know he has looked at other MMOs and said, what can I take away from that and bring to our game? My question is, what is he looking at and saying, what can I bring over? Like, if it was playing World of Warcraft, like Warcraft has been doing this for years, where you can play as a story character. And when he said, granted, I'll give him that it was a bad translation, and he said, like, we're adding a piece of content that we've never had in our game before, playing as a spoiler, but playing as Alfie, was super interesting. Yeah, it was cool to do that, but it wasn't anything new. But it was cool that they clearly have the tech. Like, they're trying new stuff, and they clearly have the tech. If they animate, like Shin and I've talked about the tech behind Final Fantasy, like with Animus. That's great tech. That's super tech to have. It's cool that they're testing it out in Animus, and I'm excited to see what they do with it in the future in the next expansion. We need to start seeing what he wants to pull from other games. Like, world building would be great. I will always say Final Fantasy 14, and it does something really, really well. Like, the story it offers is really, really well. And that doesn't mean that WoW's not trying to pick up how it's telling story. I think WoW's doing a really good job on storytelling as of late. Since I'm going to say it's probably started with Pandaria, but it's really ramped up since Legion, and especially for Battle for Azeroth. I think how they're handling storytelling, adding cutscenes, a lot of things are voice acted, even like in-game, like back and forth scenes where we have to like read text. That's a lot of that stuff is voice acted now, to bring that immersion in. Same with Guild Wars. Guild Wars did storytelling pretty well. It's just a different story. Like, you may not have that same connection with those stories. It's and it might be a visual thing for a lot of people. Like, they may not like WoW's graphics, but Guild Wars 2's got it's got pretty decent graphics still. I think the last time I logged in, I was still surprised on how well Guild Wars 2 graphics held up. So when he says play other games, I think what he may be saying is it's okay to put our game down and go try out new things and then come back, because the game will still be here. And very, very few companies, anybody, Blizzard would never tell you to do that. Blizzard will send you emails when you quit. They're like, hey, you want to come back? Come back. You should come back. We miss you. but it is interesting. It is a very interesting concept. Because he might be it might be a smart, it's almost like a power move. I feel like it's a power move, Dylan. I feel like it's like, yeah, go ahead, play other games. Go do that.
But we know you'll be back.
Yeah, go do that thing. It might be genius because I've seen other people play and then the community, like they may go to another community and say like, all right, well, this community is still not WoW, or it's still not Final Fantasy's community, or it still doesn't have Final Fantasy story. Or, oh man, that new patch is really, it's got to have that new, I will say this, like the one thing that I always find interesting, even though the PvE mechanics in WoW are really fun, the fight designs in Final Fantasy are done really, really well. Like the trials, I've actually seen a WoW dev, I'll try to find the blog and post it or talk about it on one of our future shows, where the WoW dev went in and broke down the Thoradin fight, the Knights of the Round fight, like on Savage, like, or Extreme, like he broke down the Extreme fight, and he's saying that even he admitted that fight is to a T like the best MMO fight ever, because it was done so well. Like it was so well designed, and how it broke it down, like as a game developer broke it down. And it was such an interesting read, because one of my favorite things to do is read about game design. Like that, like I read a whole book, like that when I was bored when I worked at GameStop, I read all the books they had on game design. So it was interesting to see him break down like how that fight, like from the beginning, and how you do this and how you do the burst, and when it came down to this, and like there were like he even put it down to the specific spot where he said it gets to a point where you're almost, everybody's out of mana and needs to like a redo and like heal back up. It's right when Thoradin brings you into space and does the big move. He said that's your recoup, like 30-second recoup to build up mana and do everything and heal back up real quick before you finish the last phase of the fight. And he said it breaks down so easily. And he said that's why you don't need, and he said this perfectly, this is why you don't need mods in Final Fantasy, because the way that they build their fights is based on almost a rhythm. Like it's going to be like almost to a T, which some of us may say like, well, they do this specific, like you can tell it's cookie cutter, but it's not all cookie cutter things are bad. Like the fights are done in such a way where, yes, I can see, based on when I'm reading that, I can see that design, how they do those things throughout all their fights now. But yeah, I appreciate their fights so much more since reading that, because he explained like this is why you wouldn't need deadly boss mods to move out of stuff, because WoW uses mechanics differently, and they use a lot of floor mechanics or pick on one person in a fight. And that person may have to go spread disease to other people. Like you may have different people to do different jobs during a fight in WoW, where in Final Fantasy, it's all about the 8-person group. And so it's not the limitation of, all right, so for example, like in a fight in Final Fantasy or in WoW, I'll go with the small size, which is 10. In 10, you still might have those mechanics where, okay, this one, all right, so the rogue's going to pick up a poison bomb, but he's got to go poison 6 people with it, so you all share the poison, and then the other person's going to pick up the healing bomb and then heal those 10 people, and that's how that's going to work. And that you all have like a certain job during a fight, because that's how the fight is laid out in WoW for bosses and their raids, where Final Fantasy does the exact opposite, where everybody has to work on a team to kill the boss, but you're also like stacking for damage and doing different things. And like Alexander had those moments where you jumped into like objects and pushed bombs away and stuff like that. And I think that's why Alexander, I was talking to Safe, and he's in chat, about Alexander, and Alexander I think is still my favorite content in this game. I think it's one of my favorite raids in this game. I love Coil, but Coil had great difficulty, but Alexander had some really great fight design, just because they added these extra elements of the QTEs, the hopping into the little beetles and pushing the bombs away. It did some really interesting stuff. Same with, I would even give credit to Sigmascape with the painting fight. I think that was a really like super fight that was done really, really well and interesting. So they're really stepping up their game on their fight design. But
just to interrupt you really
go ahead.
quickly. MR Sound just went AFK. Is that a problem?
Mr. Sound? No, I can.
Yeah. Okay.
No, he's okay.
I mean, I don't want him to get lonely. But anyways, please continue.
He's fine. He's back. He does that sometimes. If I don't use the soundboard, he gets all. But here, Mr. Sound.
Okay.
He's here, Mr. Sound. I'll play a thing.
Get in touch with your wizard.
Right, he's back.
I mean, you were saying that with the trials and on an individual boss fight level, I completely agree with you. Trials is not something that I've really seen any other game do, and those individual fights are really great. They're challenging. They require, like you were kind of saying, team coordination. Whereas definitely in World of Warcraft, it's more individual dependent. But even that being said, the one thing I have to pick on Final Fantasy XIV for is their dungeon design. It could be better. It could be more. And it's not even, World of Warcraft that it does it better. In this case, this is where I can have to point my finger at Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2, I think they did dungeon design in a really interesting way, like where you go into a specific dungeon and it's not necessarily about following a single path. Sometimes you go right and it's a different dungeon. Sometimes you go left and then it's another different dungeon. And it's not you started at point A and you're always going to end up at point B. Sometimes you end up somewhere different. And that's kind of the thing as far as where I do have to pick on Final Fantasy XIV with their dungeons. It is always the same experience almost every time. But as far as trials, hands down, yeah, Final Fantasy XIV does a great trial. And I've never seen anything like that anywhere else.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, some of the most popular content I think they offer is their trials, their treasure dungeons. I love doing treasure dungeons because it's that same thing, right? You don't know what the outcome is going to be. It's a fun night. You can get a bunch of people together, you get laughs. You can, like, I've seen. I think we're at rituals now where we have some people in our FC, like, he starts to take off clothing as just for luck. He's like, all right, I'm taking off my shirt. I feel lucky. I'm taking off my shirt. We'll get to floor 6 at least if I take off my shirt. I'm pretty sure he's gone full nude and we got to floor 7 at some point.
We would cuss out the door. we determined that if we got angry at it, then it would give in and open. And, the other thing is that, Final Fantasy XIV does really well is the deep dungeons. The deep dungeons are pretty cool. It's a very retro design, but at the same time, it feels kind of a very revolutionary design within an MMO. And those, I know that there's some people who love those. Other things that I really like about 14, I'm trying to think of some things. I mean, I definitely like the way that they design towns, especially Stormblood. I'm sorry, I love the way that Kugane is designed. And if we do get a calamity and all of the current cities bite it and they design them a little bit more like Kugane, I'm kind of okay with that.
I'd be a little dope. I'd be okay with that too. Because I think having the loading zones in them feels a little awkward. I think if they have the tech, clearly they have tech. Animus is a great example of that tech. They don't have any loading zones from what I can tell. Mm-hmm. It's a massive, massive area. And you could easily do that. You can easily fix those old zones to be like, listen, it's all open. It's a massive... They had that. They even admitted, like, we had this in 1.0, but we got rid of it because nobody wants to walk through a hallway. I was like, so? Like, my question is, so? Why? Who cares? Who cares? Like, I understand, like, PS3 play... I think it was a loading issue with PS3 that it couldn't handle that much extra data. Like, those hallways added a bunch of extra data to the PS3, but PS3 doesn't exist anymore. Even back in the hallways.
Yeah. And there's other things that, I love about 14 that, like their larger raids, such as the Rabadaster, the Avalos raids. Those are really accessible to anybody. And yeah, especially the first couple of weeks, everybody's going to wipe and they're going to wipe hard. But, after a little while, everybody picks up but anybody can do it. Whereas other games, if you want to get into that kind of content, you have to spend time and money gearing up, and then you have to find a group, and it's not really accessible, especially to some casual players.
Yeah, I think WoW fixed that, I think I want to say back in Cataclysm with LFR. Was it Cataclysm or was it possibly Cataclysm, maybe Pandaria? But it's one of those two where they added LFR. I want to say it was right after Wrath. So what was there? So Cataclysm. They added the LFR, yeah. the looking for raid. And Looking for Raid fixed a lot of that. They essentially, what Looking for Raid is, for people that don't know, it made the normal raids an alliance raid, so it made it accessible, and it was your first gear option into gearing up to do the next, like the normal version of the raid. They've changed that over time because they don't want it to be an option to be like, all right, you'll need to do LFR first to get this gear set, then to get the better gear, that way you can go into the net. Now it doesn't hurt, you can go do LFR and get a higher eye level and then step into the normal raid. You don't have to do that though now. You can just, if you have a group, you can go right in, do the raid. If you just want to see it for story, you do LFR, you get your gear and leave. If you want to do the hardest version of it, you would do, and then they stagger the hardest version. So it might be like normal versions out, then harder versions out. I don't know if there's an eye level discrepancy between the normal and hard versions. I think you can go in at the same eye level, so it's just more challenging. So, and how WoW handles gear is also very different. So, with that stuff being said, do you think it's us? Maybe just you and I are just like, fuck, let's play other game, because it can't be just us. There's plenty of people that do this. Plenty.
And this is one thing I think I told you like about a week or so ago. It's like, I don't think it's just us, and I say that based off of the fact that it's funny, the amount of people who I've run into in World of Warcraft are like, yeah, I'm normally a Final Fantasy 14 player, or I'm normally an X player, or something like that, different game. But I saw some of the advertisements for BFA and I decided to check it out. And, now I'm kind of here for a while. And I hate to say it, there are a lot of Final Fantasy 14 players right now. So yeah, like, where we could form our own little group. But I don't think it's just us. And that's kind of the thing is, there's a certain point where I feel that so no matter how good a game is, after a while, you're going to feel like it's just a little old or it's a little stale and you just want to change. And going and playing another game for a little while is not a bad thing. Sometimes you kind of need a palate cleanser. Sometimes you also need to go play another game to also appreciate the game that is kind of your main game. I will tell you what, the one thing that playing WoW has made me appreciate is the Final Fantasy 14 community. Within like 2 hours of playing WoW, I'm just like, oh gosh, like I don't want to talk to some of these people. Because just some of the ways that, people treat each other, just even running past each other, doing quests or in dungeons or something like that, it's just not the same. People in Final Fantasy 14 feel much nicer by comparison.
It's true. I'm just used to WoW, so I just like I don't interact unless I'm in a dungeon. And right now, since the dungeons are still fresh and new for a lot of people, when I go into them, I'm like hello, and I just run it. And also, they kind of made Prot Warrior like I'm indestructible, so like everybody's like whatever, just go tank. I'm like yes, and I just roll through.
Okay, see, that's where like I'm on the other side of it. I play a healer, so I have I'm preparing to macro something that says, "Hi, I am your healer. If you run out of range, I will fucking let you die."
My healer was like, I was like, I don't have to heal you. I was like, I know, I'm so deadly. But I've also been playing Prot Warrior since before Cataclysm. So I'm so used to playing Prot Warrior in that game.
Let's be honest, the only reason we're playing BFA right now is in hopes that Arthas will come back, or the Lich King, because that was the main thing for playing Wrath.
I'm playing to see N'Zoth on it. Honestly, I want to see Azshara because that lady's been fucking with me since day one. Ever since Warcraft 3 and her high and mighty elf goddess decided to, make a deal with an old god and become the queen of the Naga, and she's powerful as shit. She's still the most powerful being in the universe or on the world. So she's dangerous as shit. I can't wait to see what's going on with her.
And that's one thing I will give Warcraft, at least in this latest expansion, is like you said, Final Fantasy 14 puts together a pretty damn good trailer. And that's never been a problem. Sometimes they're a little abstract and you're like, I have no idea what's going here, but it looks really awesome. The one thing that is really interesting to see is the marketing strategy that Blizzard is using with World of Warcraft. And I kind of have a feeling, I'll be honest with you, that the payoff isn't going to be as good as the build-up. But it's still been interesting. They know how to build hype like nobody's business.
Yeah, it's something Blizzard's always been really good at. They're really good at the tease and the delivery. BFA has probably been their most marketed, like since Wrath. I think that this has been the most marketing money they've put into an expansion. Pandaria didn't even get this much. Like, this has been pretty heavy. I still see BFA ads for like war, prepare for war. Like, I still see those happening. I mean, and sales figures, 3.5 million copies sold day one of BFA, and that's including, I don't think they included pre-orders. I'm not sure. That may have included pre-order, but still, that's a lot of people. It's a lot of people.
And a lot of those people were also new. For a 14-year-old game, that is not bad.
No, it's not at all. I mean,
the other thing is about it that because I'm actually like, even though I've been playing it a lot lately, I'm not attached to it like I am 14. And a big part of me, now, I don't know how about you, but I'm kind of like, I'm almost kind of hoping that everybody fails and the world blows up because I've never seen that. And I want to see it.
I have all right. I'm not like, this is not Warcraft talk, but I do have a theory that WoW is also, if WoW, and it'd be interesting if WoW and Final Fantasy do the same thing. Because it hasn't been done yet on either game. I mean, to be fair, yes, they did it with 1.0 ending, but they needed to do that to fix the game. But losing is not necessarily a bad thing in terms of how you want to tell your story. If we lose, we would only come back stronger, and I feel like there's a sense of, if we lost, right? Even in WoW, if I lost, right? If the old gods win, what are we setting ourselves up for? Like, how do they want to tell the story from a point of like, now there is this struggle, and I think a lot of people don't want to see that. I know some people have told me like it hurts their RP if that happens, but at the end of the day, and I know Final Fantasy is really great for RP. They've added a lot of RP elements. The story is always going to play out in the way they want it to. That's even, I'll say the same thing for WoW. No matter how you're going to RP it, they have the story in their mindset, and they're going to play it out. They're going to kill the characters they're going to want to kill. They're going to destroy the world if they want to do it. They'll rewind time if they want to do it. It's just, that's how things happen. And it's the nature of MMOs sometimes that they want to try new things, or they want to try new ways of storytelling, or to progress the story. WoW's handled time travel really, really well, because they do it outside of we need to go back in time to make sure these things happen, to so that way these, like, you play through the Culling of Stratholme, so you make sure that you're not watching Arthas kill people. You need to make sure Arthas kills that town to become the Lich King, because you don't want it to be someone else. It could fall to somebody else, and it could be a worse timeline. Safe in chat real quick said, I fucking hate MMOs as a genre. I like Final Fantasy 14 despite it being an MMO, so I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna cheat. It doesn't have to be another MMO. I mean, technically you could take a break from Final Fantasy and go play anything. So it doesn't have to be another MMO. You could
Persona 5.
Yeah. I mean, I understand you hate MMOs. I think you and I discussed this before, Safe. It wouldn't hurt your perspective to play another MMO in terms of, I know you're big like on looks and design, but playing another MMO gives you some perspective of like, what is this company doing that is different? It's something that we're interested in. Like, it's something I've always been interested in. And like, that's why I've done other podcasts. I was interested in EverQuest Next because it was really trying to do something no other MMO has ever done before. Now, it did shut down because they were pumping a lot of money into it. And they weren't producing anything yet. And it sucks. But if they would have pulled it off, it would have been an MMO. Like, it would have been the vision. It would have been the future of MMOs. Like, Final Fantasy wouldn't have a foot to stand on if that game came out. And I'm saying that because I knew some of the developers. I knew the background of that game and what they were developing. They were developing an AI so intelligent that if, let's say, if I remember this correctly, if dark elves were in the woods and the orcs hated the dark elves, they would start a war. Even if nobody was around, they would still start a war. And if the dark elves won, they would expand their territory. And then you could fight them back. If you didn't do anything about it, they would just continue to expand their territory and take over a whole area. That's how the type of AI they were writing. And I've seen that, and they actually had proof of that AI working. It was so interesting. And no game. I wish that AI could be in a game. I wish that AI could be in Final Fantasy because it was so fucking cool.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
It was awesome. And the RP things they were developing for the game would have been fucking dope. It would have been so good. Because the one thing EverQuest 1 and 2 did really well, it birthed like RP in the MMO space. Like Shin and I, like all of us, Shin, Dylan, and I were talking about MMOs, and Shin actually said EverQuest 2 had legendary weapon quests. It had language quests. Like I even did the to speak dragon, which was my favorite quest line. I had to go talk to a dragon in a volcano to pick up, like, go learn. That's my first book. And then I had to go like travel across the world and learn different draconian languages. And then at the end of it, I could actually speak to dragons in EverQuest 2. That is the dopest shit I've ever done.
No, it's pretty awesome.
It was so cool.
But and that's kind of actually, I guess, where, cheating is a bad way of putting it. It's a lot like traveling. I live in the US, but one of the things I do like to do is I like to travel the world. I like to see how other people live, how they're, experience their culture, how do they live their day-to-day lives and everything like that. And every time I come back from a trip, wherever else in the world, and I come home, I think and I kind of look at the world around me and my perspective has changed. And I can either see A, gosh, I'm really thankful I have this, and this, or B, I really think that maybe we could do this, and this better. And that, I think, helps us build a better society. Why cannot the same thing also help us to build better games as players?
I completely agree. And I think at the end of it is that you're right. It is traveling. It's not cheating. It's very much experiencing different cultures, different thought processes, different ways of looking at society, or even society, like different gaming societies, and how they handle things. It's, I know Safe, and I'm not trying to pick on Safe, but I know Safe and I had this discussion the other day where him and I were discussing like how he's not a big fan of just like the MMO game design because it is very much like the grind. But I will say that Final Fantasy XIV may be the grindiest of all the MMOs.
I'd say the least grindiest is probably Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, it's true. Guild Wars 2 is pretty not grindy at all. So it is a thing. I'm not saying, and yet again, let me reiterate this. And if I didn't say it in the beginning, I apologize. Final Fantasy is not a bad game. We're not trying to disparage it. We're not trying to say it's bad. I also want to go back from last week. I think I said it was dying. I didn't mean I'd say I think the game is dying. There has been sentiment of other content creators that the game is dying. But there's also been other content creators that I know that have been going out and playing new MMOs. Sarah from Phoenix, Sarah and Luna from Phoenix Down were out playing World of Warcraft BFA. few others. I think Pharos was I think was maybe PFA a little bit. I mean, various other Final Fantasy content creators, much bigger than us, were out there trying new things because this is what you do. You go out there and just like traveling the world, you want to get new experiences, you want to see what's going on, you want to see how they design a dungeon, or just have fun and see what's hype about the hype. But sometimes it's cool. You can go check out some older MMOs and see what's popping off in there. EverQuest 2's got some Garbo graphics now. So, but I don't play it for the graphics. I never played. It's got 80. Listen, they're skilled. They got worse skill button things than any other MMO too. They're like, you got like 87. You got 8 bars open. You're like, why do I need this many? Why? So interesting. And also doing the dungeons are massive in that game too, like just massive. And other people can be in them. Last I checked, like I had people running in dungeons. Like I was in a dungeon, and then another group came in. I was like, oh, this is hi friends. So it's interesting to go in and check this. That's even if it's just download it for free and just check that shit out. It's pretty fun to do. But remember, safe. There's always Everjane. You and I can always hop back into Everjane and see. There's a Jane Austen MMO, right, Dylan?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Safe and I played that one time.
I have to admit, I am morbidly curious.
You're welcome to join us. I was Sir Maximilian Valentine, MD.
I think I hear of an option for something that we can stream for Extra Life there.
I would love to stream Everjane for Extra Life. Oh, we can make that happen. We could absolutely make that happen. Also, there's a questing system. Ask Safe and I how that we couldn't figure out how to do a fucking quest in that game. They were all based out of books.
Is Mr. Darcy a raid boss? Please say that he is.
Listen, we couldn't figure out how to get Mr. Darcy to work. Although there was a weird glitch with the horses. I don't know. We couldn't figure a lot of shit out in that game, and it was hilarious. It was just hilarious. So with that being said, if you're gonna cheat on the game, go play Everjane. There's gonna be a lot of disappointed people. So with that being said, I don't think we got a lot of any questions really from the audience or any other than Safe really popping in. Chili did say, my monk tells everyone he punches things when I enter any dungeon. I punch things. Chili, do you punch things though? You don't strike me as somebody who punches things. You strike me as somebody who hugs people and maybe pops pepper candies into your mouth. That's and podcast a lot. Podcast a lot. That's how you strike me. I could be wrong though. But with that said, I think we almost kept it to an hour. We're close to an hour. Close enough to an hour.
We might be a little bit over. I might own Shin a beer now.
Yeah. All right. Well, you might owe Shin a beer. With that being said, is there anything else you want to add before we leave?
I think the only thing else I would want to add is that, number one, playing a game, any game, should be fun. Make sure that you keep it fun. If you want to go play another game for a little while, by all means, go ahead and play another game. The most important thing I think is that with any game that you play is you're going to make friends, you're going to make contacts, especially with a Discord the way that it is. You can keep all those contacts there. And, even if you choose to leave a game, don't leave the friends. Keep those friends.
Play other games with them.
Like Everjane.
Yeah, like ever. I never laughed harder. I never laughed at the silliest bullshit. Anyway, with that, if I have any closing thoughts, they're going to be that it's perfectly fine to take a break. If you feel like you're not if you're not happy with the current state of any game you're playing, take a break, step away, play something else. Like, it does not hurt. It is very much a relaxing and soothing experience, and you don't have to go full ham into a new game to get the most out of it. You can play Hearthstone for a little while. You can play something else. Play Jackbox Party Game with friends instead of take a break from the raids if the raids are getting stale. It's really your choice at the end of the day. It's your money. But don't let yourself get overwhelmed, and try not to let the negativity of others spread into your game and how you play it. But if you are feeling that, like, I'm losing my interest, take a break. It doesn't hurt. It's good to step away for a little while, and then when you step back, you'll have new content. You'll feel refreshed. You'll be more engaged in your FCs and your friends and the content. But if you're one of those people that want to check out other MMOs, go ahead. It's perfectly fine. It's healthy, and you can see what other MMOs are doing and be interesting. Maybe you take something away and be like, it'd be interesting if they did this here. If I could say one thing, Safe said it perfectly. It's all about the game and how you play it. Go check out other RP communities if that's your thing, in other games, and see how they RP. Final Fantasy offers a lot of RP tools into the game. WoW offers a lot of mods for RP tools outside the game. So, check that out. Check out how RP is in EverQuest. I mean, that's free. Go download that. Go. You can literally RP a bard. I remember that story in EverQuest 1. There was a guild full of bards, and they would tell the stories of people doing like the raids and stuff, because that was really hard to do in EverQuest because you had to get like 70 people together. So they would write stories about like these epic long, like 10-hour fights, and like go town to town and sing praises of these people who did these like amazing raids. And that's like one of the first interesting, like cool, like, and they were popular because they actually sang and wrote lyrics out and shit. So it's an interesting thing. Just go check out other communities and see what's going on. So with that being said, this has been episode 95 of Maelstrom Radio. Next week, episode 96, we have Aetherflow Media, the newest magazine to hit the Final Fantasy XIV scene. That rhymed, and that felt smooth as shit. I'll never do that again, but that was smooth. Aetherflow Media is honestly brand new, and it was created by really passionate and talented people. I'm excited to have them on the show next week. Shin and I are going to be here to discuss with them their very first ever magazine that they posted out. They got some really great articles, some Photoshop tips in there. They actually did an interview with the Primals, which was I don't know how the hell they got the Primals. We can't get the Primals. I'm not sure how they got the Primals. But Dylan, do you think we get the Primals?
Maybe.
All right.
Question mark.
Can we just get prime rib?
We can offer the Primals prime rib in Vegas, and then we can try to get them. How about that?
Deal. Safe in chat, have you ever tried to get the Primals? Have you ever tried to get the Primals? Mr.
I have never tried to get the Primals. So until we try and fail, it's still a possibility.
Yeah. Just like us. We're always a possibility. That being said, what's not a possibility, but always a guarantee, that we will be here Friday nights at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern. You can find our show on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And that's right, iTunes. We're back on iTunes. If you don't know that, go check that out. We're so happy to be back. You can find us on our blog at www.maelstromradio.com, and also you can find our email address there, show@maelstromradio.com. So send us your emails. What games have you been playing? What other games? If you're listening to this and you're like, hey, listen, I've been dabbling in something else, let me know. Tell us. I want to know. I want to know what's going on. If you play Everjane, let me know, or yell at me, or send me death threats. I don't know what's gonna happen there. Also on our website's our Discord link, so you're more than welcome to join our Discord. That's not a you don't have to pay us to get on our Discord. We want to talk to you. Join it. discuss games with us, tell us hi, send us gifts, send us cute bunny pictures. We love that. And also our Twitter, but just in case you don't want to go to our website, our Twitter's at Maelstrom_radio. Of course, you can find us on Facebook.com/Maelstrom Radio. And of course here, Twitch, as always, twitch.tv/Maelstrom Radio. Dylan, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Dylan. And also I want to thank Dylan, our official backup co-host when Shin's not here. And also our producer, Dylan. Who takes my gobbledygook words and puts them on and says, "This is what you mean?" Yes, this is what I mean. Because sometimes
I speak flatus.
Yeah, sometimes my Brian doesn't work so good, as we learned. I listen. I know I said Brian. Dylan's probably slowly giggling to herself about that. And
oh yeah, I am.
But trust me, the future, everything we're plotting for the future of Maelstrom Radio is good stuff. We have a vision. So, with that being said, I'm gonna mute this. I'm gonna click on one of these, and I'm gonna do one of these, and one of those. I want to thank you all for coming out for episode 95 and joining in the discussion. Twitch chat was it's good. It was a fun night. Safe was very boisterous tonight. Of course, please enjoy the game you want to play. Make sure that you're happy with the game and expand your horizons from time to time, even if it isn't an MMO. Till sea swallows all. Keep listening.
Maelstrom Radio is a production of MaelstromRadio.com, Blackfire Media Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. Opening theme provided by Benjamin Anthony James. You can find more of their music over at SoundCloud.com/Ben773. Our outro is provided by Sodo. You can find more of their music over at SoundCloud.com/Sodo. Views and opinions expressed on this episode are those of Maelstrom Radio and their hosts, and do not reflect the views and opinions of Square Enix. And until sea swallows all, keep listening.